Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today we're gonna reassemble this whole engine on the pit bike, the whole bottom end, the top end. We're gonna assemble everything. We're gonna clean the head, clean the cylinder walls, inspect them, change out the piston rings, just do everything like that. Hope you guys learned some things. So stick around and let's get started on this reassembly. Alright, so after you guys get into all this, it's a good idea to test the compression rings, right here, the distance between here, just to see if your compression ring is worn out or not. I put my feeler gauge on here, take your piston, push it down, you can see the compression ring, I put it in there, and just measure. Sorry for the background noise, kids are loud, but take your feeler gauge and test the space between here. This one is a 0.15 millimeters. We already bought a new set of piston rings right here from T-Bolt USA, and just because we noticed maybe a little bit of lack in compression, maybe it needed rings, piston looked fine, so we're gonna put the new compression ring on here and see the difference, because I have no idea what the spec is on a pit bike. You don't really, it's kind of hard to get that information, specs on pit bikes. So right off the bat, that gap is much smaller than the old ring, and I already measured it. It's a 0.08 millimeters, so we're definitely going to get a lot better compression from this. The gap is twice as small as it was before, so we'll see the difference. I'm gonna put you guys on a time lapse and we're gonna clean everything up. This is pretty much ready to go. All I have to do is have the new part with the spring on there. We couldn't find the spring separately, so we bought the whole thing. It's 25 bucks, so no big deal. We're gonna put that on there right now, and then we're gonna start cleaning up the cylinder and the head and everything like that. We already cleaned up the piston. There was no need to replace it. It's in pretty good shape. Gonna put the rings on, very simple rings. You put this oil ring on, then the two thin rings are for the oil rings. You want to face all the ends that open up like this. You want to face these away from each other. So start with one end facing this way, the other ring facing this way, and then that oil ring that's wiggly, whatever, face it this way, and then one compression ring face this way, and then just another one in a different direction, because you don't want them to be all facing in the same direction. So I'm gonna put you on a time lapse, get that done, get things cleaned up and ready to go. Prize winner, best storyteller, thug narrator, my style's greater, model data, big threat to a lot of you haters, commentators, ringside, try watching my paper, almost a decade, quite impressive, most of the best is in the essence, but it's rap shit that I stand for, expanding more to the big screen, Bill Gates dreams, but it seems you'd rather see me in jail with snake dreams, roll me off the scene fast, but good things last, like your favorite MC, still making some mean cast, first rapper to bring. Here's a tip for you guys. If you have these dowel pins, don't just try to take a screwdriver or not a screwdriver, but some pliers and pulling them out. I mean, if they're not on too tight, that's fine. You can do that as long as you're not squishing them. You want to take like a socket that would fit in there. Just find the right size. Perfect, that size. And then you can take some needle nose pliers. And just pop them out. That way you're not reshaping the form of this dowel pin and then screwing it up. So for this head, if you want to clean up where the valves are, what you want to do is take a wire brush, something like this, and you want to gently clean the inside of there. You don't want to scrape around where that head gasket's gonna go on, because then you're gonna cause or put little scratches in there, and you can have a head gasket failure. So just be very careful to do it just around where it's corroded, around all the black, around the valves, and don't go on where the head gasket goes on.
Platinum plank, back to the project, but you still wanna hate? Be my guest, I'll suggest. Let's go. Let's go. You wanna hate me, then hate me. What can I do but keep getting money? Funny, I was just like you. I had to hustle hard, never give up until I made it. Now y'all saying that's a clever nigga, nothing to play with. Hate on me, I blew, but I'm the same OG. People warn me when you on top, there's envy. Took my niggas out the hood, but you doubt on us, saying we left the hood but can't get it out of us. My bad, should I step on my shoes, give them to you? Here's my cars in my house, you can live in that too. Criticize when I float for the street, hate my dress code, Gucci this, Fendi that. What you expect, ho? Nickname Esco, took this game to its threshold. Best flow, I bet the whole US know. Try to make it like you the realest, but who the illest? Think we all know the answer to that, cause niggas feel us, right? You think I'ma come this far and let you niggas stop me now? I like this, I like the way this feels. It's a thin line between paper and hate, friends and snakes, 9 millies and 38s, hell or the pearly gates. I was destined to come, predicted, blame God in blue breath in my lungs, second to none, wicked turn wives to widows, shoot through satin pillows, the desolate one, took a little time to claim my spot, jamming up the border till this game stopped, and I side with the Lord, ride for the cause while driving niggas shot out my doors, plotting I'm sure they catch me with their glocks to my jaws, try sticking me up, but I flipped on these ducks, instead of me, ambulances, we're picking them up, niggas fear what they don't understand, hate what they can't conquer, guess it's just inferior man, became a monster, on top of the world, never falling, I'm as real as they come, from day one, forever falling, come on, let's go.
Dreaming about Learjets and coops, the way salt shoots and how they sell records like Snoop. I'm interrupted by a doorbell, 3:52. Who the hell is this? I gets up quick, cocks my shit, stop the dogs from barking, then proceed to walking. It's a face that I seen before. My nigga Sing used to sling on the 16th floor. Check it, I look deeper, I see blood up on his sneakers, and his fist gripped the chrome 4/5. So I dip, nigga, is you creeping or speaking? He tells me C-Rock just got hit up at the beacon. I opens up the door pitiful. Is he in critical? Retaliation for this one won't be minimal, cause I'm a criminal. Way before the rap shit, bust the gat shit. Puff won't even know what happened if it's done smoothly. Silences on the Uzi, stash in the hoopty. My alibi, any cutie, with the booty that done fuck Big Pop. Head spinning, reminiscing about my man C-Rock. Somebody got to die. If I go, you got to go. Somebody got to die. Let the gunshots blow. Somebody got to die. Nobody got to know that I killed your ass in the midst. Somebody got to die. If I go, you got to go. Somebody got to die. Let the gunshots blow. Somebody got to die. Nobody got to know that I killed your ass in the midst, bitch.
Alright, y'all, we ran into an issue. So this bearing that belongs right under there goes right there. For some reason, everything on this case matches exactly besides this bearing. That's too small. So the inside of here is 15 millimeters and the outside is 32 millimeters of this old bearing. But the new case needs 15 millimeters on the inside and about 26.5 on the outside. So that's trash. We need to go find a new bearing. Already put the case on. This part confused me because when I took this case off, the old one's right there, the crank and everything kind of moved over, and when I tried to put this one back on, there was a gap and I couldn't figure out why. It's because the crank moved over that way, and even if it does move over, that's not a big deal. The problem is if the chain is not sitting on the sprocket, which is connected to the crank, I believe, over there, when you try to push the crank back and put the case on, it's just going to push against the chain, and the chain will get in the way for it to go all the way to the right where it's supposed to be. So that is something I ran into. Alright, time to set timing. So we're gonna put this on the T right there. Try not letting it move. And then we're gonna take the sprocket. That little notch has to match up right there with that little notch right there. Boom. And then the T has to match right there with that. So just turn it barely in right there. That's perfect. So let's put this on. Well guys, that is a wrap. The battery died last night, so we ended up going in and I wanted to get things done. I was tired. I just spent the next hour or so last night reassembling everything else, just kind of where the battery died. That's just where I kept going, got everything put back together. I mean, the reassembly is fairly simple. It's just basically go back to the disassembly of everything and just reverse that process. It was pretty simple. We got the new carburetor on here. This carburetor is actually off of my pit bike, and it's a Mikuni carburetor, and it's working much better than the one Peter had on his. His was really like big. The whole needle, everything was wider. I don't know if it was supposed to help or not, but it seemed to lag power, and this one is seeming to run much better. I've always recommended Mikuni carbs for all these bikes, and they've never let me down so far. So put a Mikuni on there, put on my UNI air filter, and started the bike up. She runs great, no smoke, no issues, starts up way better than before. The Kickstarter works great, and it works much better. So let me show you guys a quick example of how it's running. Let's go for it right here. the choke on. As you guys can see, this thing runs like a charm. It's great. Kickstarter works really well. I feel like I feel more compression, and there's no clicks, no skips, nothing. Everything's working solid as it should, no leaks. The bike's solid, guys. So if you guys need to change out your case or go into your engine if you're having similar issues, I really hope that this video helps one of you guys out there. And if it does, like, subscribe, and share. Thanks for tuning in, guys. Have a good one.